your data go today? This is part 2 of a webcast that we're doing, Symantec security products. Today we'll cover Symantec DLP. My name is Jonathan Jesse, as mentioned. I'm practice principal for the security team. I head up the security team here at ITS. There's my email. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me a note. So here's the things we're going to cover. Talk about the problem, the solution, and the demo. About ITS partners, we are a security and endpoint management exclusive partner. We've been the Symantec National Partner and Platinum Partner of the year 2005, 2007, and 2011. We are a master specialized partner. Go ahead and actually get started. The problem, right? When it comes down to where did your data go to today, when I have these conversations, these are really the 3 bullet points that kind of stick out. I don't believe data is leaving my network is the first one. Now, the real subtext behind this question is that sub-bullet point. I don't know what data is leaving my network, right? It's the whole ostrich with your head in the sand problem. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to know what's going on, so nothing's an issue, right? Until there's some massive security breach and something happens. The second problem is, where did your data go today? Well, I don't know what data I have laying around. I just don't know. I just don't know what data I have around. I don't know what's confidential. I don't know what's expired or what else is going on. I don't know who put that data there. I don't know where it exists. And then finally, this really sums this up. I was working with a hospital, and they were like, well, you know what, Jonathan, I'd really like to deal with my data in storage, but I just don't have time to understand what data I have, right? I think I have some patient data laying around. I might have some customer data laying around, but it just comes down to it that I'm putting in a patient record information or some other product, and that takes more of a priority. And that's really what it comes down to, is prioritizing things, right? When we start taking a look at why DLP is imperative, you look at some of these statistics that are up here, right? DLP is imperative. Why? Because most of the breaches are from kind of that well-meaning insider type of thing, right? You know what? I got this deadline from my boss. I got to get this document done or this report done, so I'll email it to myself at home, or I'll just put it on this USB drive and I'll work from it on my home computer. Something has to be done, and so I'll just email it back and forth, right? The other problem is then that there might be a broken business process. So a customer emails me some information, I email back, we keep on exchanging information back and forth, and that first email may have had a credit card, right? And we keep on exchanging that information over and over again. Or I work with, maybe I'm a healthcare again, and I exchange billing information with a trusted partner. Maybe that trusted partner and I don't have a secure connection. It's not encrypted, or it's not through a dedicated connection, and we're just exchanging email with patient record information, over the public internet. I'm trying to get work done, but maybe I have this broken business process. The other reason why we need to find out where your data went today is because of this compliance mandate, right? We have an increased focus on data privacy, data security, and because of that, we need to demonstrate data controls, right? If you take a look at datalossdb.org, they collect from around the world all of the public security breaches and publish those both on the web and through a web or through an email list, right? So now we know exactly who is getting what breaches, where they're breaches. It's all public record. It's all public notifications. Then if you look at the bottom, this $6.7 million average cost of a breach, that's actually lower than it is. This is outdated by, I think, a year or so. This number will only get higher, right? I will not bank at a bank that uses my identity, right? So not only did it cost them all of the funds to clean up the breach, it cost them my relationship, my money, and more importantly, I'm going to go tell all of my buddies, hey, don't bank with bank X because they can't keep their stuff secure, right? So it's that word of mouth, that adds into that cost of a data breach, right? So what's the solution? So I present to you the solution to the question of where did your data go today, being Symantec DLP. Now, if you're looking at a DLP product, here are the things that you need to look into, right? So any successful DLP implementation is going to be able to answer that question, where did my data go, right? Examples, I need to be able to find out where that data is stored. I need to be able to create an inventory of that data. There's other things that I need to be able to do, right? I need to monitor how that data is being used, right? So I need to know that, John Smith is sending this data outbound and it is going to this user type of thing. But more importantly, I need to protect this, right? I need to be able to protect what is going on. And at the bottom of the area, that foundation is your management. I need to be able to write one management policy across my enterprise, and then I need to be able to remediate and report on that. Right? So if you are actively investigating a DLP implementation or DLP product, whatever product, now I'm going to tell you that Symantec DLP is the best, but whatever product that you use needs to have these top 3 requirements and then the foundation of a management platform. How does Symantec DLP deal with this, right? That discover portion. 3 phrases I'm going to kind of use today: data at rest, data at the endpoint, and data in motion come across in the storage, endpoint, and network, right? So data at rest is my storage side of things. I am going to store my data in SharePoint or Exchange or maybe a group drive, right? Here at ITS, we have, I think it's like a G drive and an H drive as well, right? That confidential, that all kinds of data could be stored in it. What data is actually stored in that? How can I go out and discover that data, right? And then at the endpoint, a bunch of consultants that are traveling, what do they have on their laptops, right? What do you have on your laptop that if it was lost or your car was broken into and your laptop was stolen, what would all happen from a data loss point of view, right? So we can discover what is on your endpoints and then understand what's going on. Monitor. So monitor is at the network side, the data in motion point of view. I'm sending outbound email, outbound web traffic, do I have outbound FTP traffic, instant messaging, all of that awesome stuff, right? What is leaving my network and how does that violate policy, right? Same thing, I'm going to skip back to the endpoint, sorry about that. Do we allow removable media, right? If you don't, or you limit to a specific, more importantly, if you listen to a specific, like removable media, like we are only authorized to have these Kingston USB drives, for example, right? How do we protect that the data that is being copied over to that removable media is actually happening, right? So SAP or some other product, we limit removable media, CD, DVD, USB drives, SD cards, etc. How do we limit what is the content of the data that is being copied over it? There's other awesome things that we can do, right? We can monitor the print buffer, right? So I'm not printing out stuff, I'm copying and pasting, all kinds of awesome stuff, and I'll cover some of that in the demo. And protection. Okay, it's awesome that you protected or you found all of this information. How are you protecting this data? How am I quarantining it or deleting it or preventing it from going off to removable media, etc.? Right? We want to be able to set this up from a repeatable procedure, right? So it happens automatically, it happens in a repeatable point of view. And then it all comes down to management, right? So we write all of our policies, all of our response rules, everything that we manage has happened on the Enforce management platform, and we can then control the DLP system from there. So what you are looking at is the login screen for the Symantec DLP Enforce management platform. So it is Active Directory authenticated. We can also, if you have like two-factor, either an RSA token or a VeriSign VIP token or a CAT card, we can use that for authentication. Just a second to sign in. All right, so what we're looking at is the dashboard, right? This is an executive summary for that Discover, so data at rest point of view. You can see I have a bunch of incidences that are all demo data, and we'll go from there. So I always want to start at my policy. By the way, I haven't gotten any response, so I have no idea if I'm talking to anybody. All right, so a policy. You can see that I've done this for another group of people. We've got a bunch of policies that are pre-built, and some of them are active and some of them are deactivated. Take a look at this Canadian social insurance number, right? It is deactivated. It's got that red with a little line through it. I click on it, it will reactivate it, and then the policy will be active across all of the vectors. Go ahead and disable this guy. Symantec DLP comes with a bunch of pre-built templates in there, whether those templates are US specific, Canadian specific, and European specific. They all exist. We can also create a policy from scratch. So once again, I define what my incident or what my policy is, what that confidential data is, and then the system is going to help us discover A, where is our data, right, data at rest, and B, where is our data going, data in motion. I'm going to clean something up real quick. I just created this Discover license policy, or driver's license policy. I'm going to delete this, and we're going to create a blank. I got some incidences. All right, awesome. So if I go ahead and click on Add Policy here, two ways, right? As I mentioned, from a bank policy, or I can use it from a template. I click on from a template and hit Next. You're going to see all of the templates that we have within the system, whether it's Genzer classification, Greenwich, Bliley, HIPAA, High Tech, ITAR, PCI, Sarbanes-Oxley, all kinds of different policies pre-built, and we're ready to go. I can select it and hit Next, but what I want to do is create a policy from a template, or a blank policy, sorry about that. Hit Next, give it a name. Let's go ahead and type in Social Security numbers. Always give your policies a description, right? So policy to track violations around Social Security numbers. Give the policy group. Pause for a quick second on policy group. Policy groups allow us to assign security to it, right? So maybe my compliance folks, or let's just say Social Security numbers, right? Human Resources needs to see incidences. The responders in the Human Resource group need to see incidences that have Social Security number violations, whereas my engineering team needs to see incidences that deal with blueprints or engineering documents, right? So we can separate that out from a security point of view. The response here, and I'll get back to the protection in just a second. Response is what happens when we find something, right? So in this case, I can do an email response. I can do an email notification. There's all kinds of things that I can do once an incident is generated automatically. From a detection point of view, this is the rule that is used to detect the system, right? So there are 4 technologies. I'm going to jump over to handy dandy notepad here. This is where it gets a little bit high tech, right? So the first detection policy that we have in place, or detection type, make the font a little bit bigger, is something called a DCN, right? Which is Described Content Match. This is where I can write a regular expression on the content, right? Numbers, columns, I can write a regular expression or some kind of way of tracking this, whether it's a keyword or, okay, it looks like a Social Security number, it talks like a Social Security number, Social Security number. The second way is an EDM. This is where I'm going to be dealing with structured data. So here at ITS, we have corporate credit cards. We care specifically about those corporate credit cards, right? So we have a policy that is a list of ITS social security numbers, and then we track that specific policy. Other examples would be like medical record numbers, maybe, or other columns, numbers, and rows, things that we want to match specifically on. The third way is IDM. This index document match, and we are dealing with unstructured data, right? So something that I need to create a hash around. Example, I need to index this cover page or this form letter, right? Merger and acquisition documents always have the same sheet on it. And we can write a policy so you need a percentage of it. So let's go back to my policy, and I am going to create a match from a data identifier. And now some states have driver's license information in it, right? So I'm going to go ahead and grab New York, and we're going to call this New York. So then we can deal with, we can help setting a severity for a match count. So what I do is, or what the DLP system does is a match per, I can have multiple matches within a single incident. So if I send out a social spreadsheet with 100 social security numbers in it, it is not 100 separate incidences. It is one incident with 100 matches, right? So by default, I'm going to have everything coming at the low severity. And if my match count, say, is between 10 and 100, I'm going to make it a medium. And then if it is between greater than or equal to 101, right, I'm going to make it a high. Now, this will change based on your organization, some standards that you have in play, and all of that fun stuff, right? So work with whoever you work with to set this up. The next thing that we need to deal with is the breadth. Now, this is how we're going to help eliminate false positives, right? So wide is just a string of 9 digits, which means there's going to be a lot of possible matches that are false positives. For example, a Facebook cookie has 9 characters in it, or 9 digits in it. Match. But let's actually add a New York related keyword. Now we narrow it down, all right? Like, oh, Jonathan, what do I know for keywords? You click on this more info and scroll down towards the bottom, it's going to tell you what the match actually looks like. I'm going to cancel this, so I don't really need to save this policy. I've got other driver's license policies in place. So what's going to happen then is all of these policies are going to be active, and it's going to be searching for data across the board, right? So let's take a look at some incidences. Go back into my my system here. Now, this is all fake data, right? So what I have is I have a bunch of fake social security numbers, right? And you can see a couple of things. First of all, Symantec tries to help us understand where our data went as quick as possible, right? Where did your data go today? Well, within 10 seconds, I can see that, yes, this person, shame on them, they sent a bunch of social security numbers, or this file existed that had a bunch of social security numbers stored out on the network. All right, so where did my data go today? Well, my data today didn't go anywhere. It's sitting on the file server, right? Here's the path, in a status report, in an email document, and that's how we know where it is. And we can actually go to that file and remediate it, etc. So this helps us now answer that other bullet point, right? What does my data actually look like? There's a couple other things that we can see. History, right? What's going on, what's happening, etc. Made any notes to this, but more importantly, I can see correlations. So this document showed up on the drive over the last 730 whatever days, 3 times in the last scan, 5 over all of the history, and you can see, to start tracking who we need to educate on getting things fixed, right? So then, where did my data go today? Let's get back to that question, right? So you can actually see what type of protocols I am monitoring here, right? So SMTP, HTTP, FTP, and then, IM-based traffic to help answering, where did my data go today? At the endpoint, I talked about this earlier. Let's take a look at the endpoint and what we can do. At the endpoint level, we can do all kinds of configuration as well, right? This is what I want to track at the endpoint. So not only do I want to track, as I mentioned, removable media, maybe I want to track web traffic. HTTP, HTTPS traffic. I want to monitor instant messaging. I want to monitor the clipboard, right? So a lot of my healthcare customers, they publish the Epic system via Citrix and forget to disable the copy from Citrix and paste into another application portion of things. So I can now copy from Epic and paste into an email and send out that data. Well, through DLP and the endpoint, we can monitor that data and make sure that that ain't happening. Right. Other items that we can figure out is, throttling, how much CPU and all of that fun stuff. But this is really at the endpoint, understanding where your data is, where it's going, and some of the things that we can do to it. Now, I've given a quick whirlwind tour of the DLP system. If there's anything else that you can help me out with, or that I can show you, feel free to get a hold of me. That was kind of a quick webcast today, but once again, my email address. If you have any questions and you'd like to send them that way, thank you for joining us.